So I want to say a massive thank you for everyone turning out for Neurodiversity Week 2025 for this industry, for this hospitality industry focused talk. My name is Ahsoka. I am the head bartender at Leighton Calling. I am also on the Drinks United Advisory Council. And I'm also an advocate for all things neurodiversity and EDI within hospitality. This is such an important week to acknowledge how there is a lack of understanding and awareness around neurodiversity. The diagnostic process is often complicated, can feel discouraging. In many cases, neurodiversity individuals can feel shamed or misunderstood because of the lack of information and the lack of discussions that we have around it. That often the support that is needed for neurodiverse individuals to do well within society, especially within institutions such as the education system, the workplace, and so on. For many of us, receiving kind of the label of being neurodivergent as a child can be really hard because there is a lack of information around it, and often there is a lack of understanding of what individuals' needs. It can feel like there's often cases where a lot of neurodivergent children will be bullied because they're being seen as acting out, being weird, stuff like that. And it's not that. It's just no one has actually talked to the other children, or even adults and teachers, about what the characteristics are, about what support they need, and how to fit in within the classroom. But on the other hand of it, I know adults who've now finally got that diagnosis and got that validation, and it's been life-changing for them. And the hope is the more we have discussions around this, we can change as a society on what these labels are. And so when we go, oh, you're autistic, you're ADHD, and so on, we can actually support them and make sure that they do have the right tools, information, and they feel supported within their workplace, their school, and so on. Neurodiversity, has a lot of positivities. It has a surge of creativity, innovation, and brilliance into the world. Often we look at things differently, and it's a beautiful thing. There's so much people talking around it, especially looking at like Ben Bradson, who does the Hidden Trendy podcast. You have A.B. Smith, who is the only TV presenter with Tourette's as well. And again, there's so much wonderful things happening. Now, within the hospitality industry, research has shown that it's about 50% of the industry workforce is neurodivergent, which is an estimated 1.75 million neurodivergent individuals employed in the UK hospitality sector alone. Yet, despite these statistics, new discussions around this field often don't get talked about. We don't bring this up, and so on. Now, I'm going to just walk through a little bit around what neurodiversity means, some of the kind of neurodiversity, I say, classifications around it, just so we have a good understanding, because it's important that I want everyone here to feel like they've been informed, they understand, and encourage them to go on and talk to their work colleagues, their friends, their family, and go, I know how to actually better support my neurodivergent friends. So what does the term neurodiversity mean? Neurodiversity celebrates the fact that there are differences in our brain leading to different ways of thinking, specific abilities, and despite the fact that many individuals regard neurodiversity as an ability, sometimes it can be seen as employees as a limitation rather than an opportunity in the workplace. So again, you've got autism. Autism is a neurological condition and a developmental condition. It affects how people behave and communicate. Often we can have very specified interests, we can get hyper-focused, delayed language, movement, and so on. You have ADHD. ADHD kind of affects the way someone can behave. It can go through periods of hyperactivity to absolute crashing and so on. Again, it's one of those ones where sometimes it can be easy to do tasks, forget about them, come back to them, and so on. Tourette's syndrome, individuals with Tourette's often have involuntary body movements and noises referred to as tics. Tics can mean quite a lot, including eye rolling, blinking, jerking, impaired limping, to the more extreme side of it are vocal tics, so blurting out inappropriate words within situations and so on. And then you've got kind of the other side of it, of where you have dyslexia. Dyslexia is a different way of learning and processing individuals from neurotypical individuals. Dyslexia can often affect accuracy and fluency with word reading, spelling, and so on. You've got dyscalculator. Dyscalculia has a specific difficulty with processing and understanding numbers, and so on. I was on a panel yesterday, and the individual was saying that their dyscalculia, they often see numbers as shapes. So it's how we can interpret information. You have dyspraxia. Dyspraxia can affect developmental condition. It affects movement, and specifically like fine motor controls, language, speech, and so on. And then you've got dysgraphia. Dysgraphia can affect movements within the hand, off that writing, so on. Like I've got dysgraphia and I struggle with how I write. It can come out distorted, stuff like that, and often illegible, and so on. So now kind of talking around these key points, I have put together such a wonderful little panel of hospitality superstars who've all been through the experiences themselves, have incredible journeys. And what we're going to do here today is let them speak, share their stories, and so on. I'm going to share a bit of my one as we get started into the more discussion side. So I was diagnosed when I was about 5. I was very mute when I was a child. I came from a small Scottish fishing town, and often the teachers I had wasn't very good with it. They really didn't understand the kind of support and so on that I needed. I got labelled as a troublemaker, I got put out a lot. And again, some of those discussions will get hard because some of it can be triggering. I will just warn this now. Again, I had some really horrific experiences when I was a child with it. I hated it. And it wasn't until even going through my young career, when I first started working, I would struggle. I didn't realize why I was struggling. I just would get so overstimulated and so on. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago now when, I very much had to go back home to Scotland. I was really struggling with depression. I couldn't find a workplace that was right for me. I was struggling with housing. I was self-harming. I was really struggling. And until I actually went back home to Scotland and got the right support, and actually got the validation of what I'd been through was discriminatory, and that I hadn't been given the right support in the first place, and that's led me so far away from where I wanted to be. And I through embracing my neurodiversity and standing up for myself and advocating for myself has made such a big difference. Our first speaker is the wonderful Sam. Sam looks after Discarded, loves coffee, and also does a lot around sustainability. I met Sam when I actually worked at Grind. And again, I really love a lot of what Discarded does. It's such a wonderful brand, but also Sam's amazing. I'd love to hear a bit about you and your story within hospitality.
Firstly, super happy to be here with these wonderful humans, and thanks CTC team and Soka. You guys were great. As said, my name's Sam. I'm, for my sins, the global brand ambassador for Discarded Spirits. I've been in that role about 4 years. Previous to that, I was kind of a weird head of beveragey person at Grind for about 7 years, so there for a long time. I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was very young, I think like 8 or 9. ADHD wasn't really a thing then that much in the UK. We weren't screening for it in the way we are now. The awareness wasn't there. This was 25 plus years ago. Thanks, buddy. I was diagnosed with ADHD almost a year ago today, so it's Neurodiversity Celebration Week has a bit of a special place in my heart.
And your brain.
Yeah, well. It's been a really interesting journey. I think everyone will be able to relate to this in some way, shape or form. Like, life is a constant journey about trying to know yourself a little bit better, and being told and being aware all of what we do as people is trying to do this, shrink this gap between what we know about ourselves and what we know inside. For me, it made me realise that I was very fortunate that I found this industry, because I've effectively had 2 jobs that were very, very intense, moving around, different role every 6 months, and were largely used to self-medicate. And it wasn't really until that got taken away in lockdown and I spiraled into like substance abuse, depression, all of that, that it really made me see just how much having a job that was like constantly on, constantly stimulating, hitting all of the things that I needed, how grateful I am to this space. So yeah, that was when I kind of started thinking about what neurodiversity might be for me, all the way up to getting diagnosed last year. So yes, happy to be here, be sharing the stage with these wonderful humans.
Next up we have Matt Burks, the wonderful Trips American. I met Matt when I actually moved to London 2 years ago this year, back when they used to work at a Sea Library. Ever since then we've gone close, and again I really love a lot of the work he does and the advocacy stuff. But yeah, I'd love to hear a bit about him.
Well, hi everyone. As Sophie said, I'm Matt. I used to work at Sea Library, and now at the Shred Brand Ambassador for London. Before that, as you can tell from a little bit of my accent, I'm from Birmingham. So I worked in some of the best bars in Birmingham at the time, and the account now currently going is like Couch and Massive Fancies and stuff like that. My journey with neurodiversity is an odd one. When I was a child, I was diagnosed with ADHD as the youngest of 3. My mum was assured that I was tapped, so I got diagnosed very young, which I'm kind of thankful for. But I went through a phase where I had just in science learned what a placebo was, so my brain was like, these pills that they're giving me to make me better are placebos, and went through a weird journey with that one. But at the same time, I was also struggling with my identity as a gay person as well, so again, another minority that I'm part of. Over the years, I have been diagnosed with a nice long list of them all, from ADHD, of being distracted, to autism, where I'm hyper-focused, which is a real fun one, to also dyslexia and dyspraxia. So when I was in secondary school for all of my GCSEs, I would have a scribe and a reader. Not because an extra time as well, not because I was stupid or anything. I have terrible handwriting, so no one could read it. I read at a very slow rate, so when I'm given information, it takes me a while to digest it in my brain to then do it. So made all of my GCSEs quite difficult, which then reflected in the grades, which then, in most people's cases, usually when they leave school and stuff like that, they either go into work, go to college. I fell into this industry, which I'm very thankful for, because if I had thought sometimes that, oh, if I left this industry, if I never got into it, what would I be doing right now? And I always get worried about that. That's a different story. So I have those worries there. But being ADHD and hyper-focused sometimes, working with my hands behind a bar and physically doing something is so much more better for me, and I'm guessing quite a lot of people in this room as well, as the rest of the industry that can't be here. Oh, I've lost my train of thought, there we go. Great example of ADHD. Yeah, so this industry has then pushed me to get better. Now I'm doing a job that is more admin focused, which again is another, not a red flag, but a difficulty for me because of the admin side of it, and writing and spelling is a terrible thing for me. So if my laptop doesn't tell me, if any of you ever get an email from me and my laptop hasn't told me that this word is spelled incorrectly, I'm so sorry. Just got to figure out what that word's meant to say. But yeah, so with the long list of it, I'm just thankful for this industry for being what it is and letting you be creative, while also helping me along the way with the admin side of it, pushing. So yeah, that's it.
Next up we have Tatiana. Tatiana's a dear friend. I met them at a women's whiskey night event, which was really wholesome. I think just having inclusive spaces is such a wonderful thing, because you never know who you're going to meet, your friendships blossom and stuff like that. I'd love to hear a bit about yourself.
So my name is Tatiana Sensmere. I am kind of quite rare in terms of I was diagnosed as a woman at the age of 7, which is like pretty unusual now, but was definitely really unusual approximately many years ago. There was like a single consumer book